Miami's true freshman players are embracing the grind and fighting for playing time. Let's talk to one who's been among the very best in practice so far.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I am Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, co-host of Locked On ACC, and post-game host on the Miami Hurricanes radio network. And thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen or your second listen today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. On this episode, we're going to sit down with standout University of Miami Hurricanes freshman edge rusher HAYDEN LOWE. We're going to talk with him about why he chose Miami and what his experiences have been at the U so far, as we're 10 training camp practices in. It's awesome to be joined here by Miami Hurricanes true freshman edge rusher HAYDEN LOWE. HAYDEN, thank you for taking the time, and I hope you've been enjoying. I know you guys had practice off today after going hard for the previous 10 days or so. How you feeling physically?
I feel great. I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to come and join this podcast. It's a blessing, but this day off was it was great. I got to take advantage of the day and get my body right for the next upcoming days.
I love it. Well, I want to thank you for being here, and I want to thank the good folks at Canes Connection for connecting us. It's great to be able to, get players like yourself on. And we spoke with James Brockermeyer last week, the new center. Now you and Brock are in very different situations, right? He's a senior. You're a true freshman at Miami. And first off the bat, HAYDEN, you're a blue chip recruit coming out of high school in California. You could have played anywhere in the country. Why was it you chose Miami?
Well, Miami, it has the culture that something about culture is that you can't buy culture. You can't really buy it. So Miami had the culture that I was looking for. It had the people, the connections, and, it's a great place to be. And I also wanted to diversify myself, coming from LA, I'm a long way from home. So now I feel like I got the best of both worlds, coming out to Miami and being a part of the Cane family.
A couple of big metropolitan cities, both have very bad traffic. LA probably a little worse, though. What's it like adapting to Miami life so far? How is it different from Los Angeles?
Well, it's just the terrain. I'd say that Miami is just a flat place to be. And, when you go to Cali, you have Malibu, you have the hills and everything. But, it's weird. I had to get used to the Miami weather coming from Cali. It'll be sunny some 5 minutes later. It'll be a whole thunderstorm outside. When I leave from practice, I'll leave with a shirt on and come back, and I have to be putting on a hoodie. So it's a lot of different things to adapt to.
Now, something I know that you and all of your teammates experience in practice, it's not just the heat, but it's the humidity. It's not as humid over there in Southern Cal. Do you feel like you're adapted to the humidity now, and how long did that take?
Yes, sir. The first, I would say 2 weeks down here, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to make it through this humidity, but I guess my body pretty much adapted to its surroundings, and now I'm pretty, well retained with it.
Something, and I've been watching, HAYDEN out at some of these early practices, and, you stand out physically. I mean, obviously, you've got all the tools to be a great college football player, but you look good getting off the bus, HAYDEN. I mean, you're around 6'4", 255, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
But now you're going up against, I'm sure in high school you were able to maybe use your size a little bit more. Now you're going up in practice against guys who are as big and sometimes bigger than you. What's that adjustment been like so far?
It's been great. One thing that really helped me go against these guys that are the same athletic ability is, technique. That's the only thing that's really going to separate yourself when you get into the next level. So you have to be able to use technique and fundamentals of football to be able to dominate at all three levels. And hopefully when I get to the league, I'll be able to do it again.
I love it. Miami's offensive line, we always say, whether I'm talking to an O lineman or a D lineman, iron sharpens iron. Going up against these guys in practice, who are some of the guys that you match up with a lot? And give me some of the names of players that give you good battles out there.
Well, my man Samson, I go up against him a lot. He's quick. He likes to jump sets you a lot. I go against Bruno, CC, and my man Juan Manaya a lot. So there's a lot of different moving pieces that help me get better, and I help them get better by just competing at practice and going hard.
On the D line, who are some of the leaders in that room and in those meeting rooms, and some of the players on the roster? Before we talk about the coaches, some of the players that you learned the most from.
I learned the most from Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor. Jay Scott and Ahmad Jr. and Moten have taught me a lot. They kind of helped me learn the inside, and Bain and Mesidor helped me learn the outside. So it's just there's a lot of leaders in the room that are that are very significant.
So, all right, with you cross training on the D line, you hear a lot from both of the coaches, from Coach D. Lou, who's he's not new to Miami, but he's new to the staff, coming back home for the first time in a while, and Jason Taylor. What have you learned from these coaches, and talk a little bit about their personalities for me?
Well, every time I walk into the meeting room, it's like it doesn't feel like I'm playing at like such a structure. It's like family. Every time I walk into the meeting room, everybody's cracking jokes, and that's just the personality side of the coaches, because they've been in our shoes, they've been the players, so they know how we operate, how we think, and everything. But really, when I come to Miami, Jason Taylor and Coach D-Lou, they really simplified the game for me, simplified my technique. The training down with different D-line trainers and all these Instagram D-line trainers, they like to do all the fancy moves and stuff like that. But, JT's been playing this game for a long time. So he simplified it and simplified a lot of different, moving parts.
We talked about the humidity and stuff, but that aside, when it comes to the actual practices, like how different is it from the type of practices you had back in high school?
Well, it's intense. Everybody's kind of at the same level and fighting for the same spots, and you can't get complacent ever. You always have to be on your toes. You always have to think somebody's coming for your job, because they're trying to replace you every time. So it's a lot better, I feel like, because in high school, you could be a top dog, you could be a 5-star, and then there's not that much competition around here. But I like always having competition and always having something to fight for, because it keeps me at an edge, and it always working my mind to get better.
We'll continue our conversation with Hayden Lowe right after this. We're only getting started on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. Folks, we are only getting started with game time. Guys, we've all been there. You're waiting in line for concert tickets. You're logging in early, waiting forever, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you could save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. You tired of scrolling endlessly to find the best deal? Game Time's Zone Deals pick the best seats in your section for you. And folks, with Game Time, the price you see is the price you pay. No hidden fees. You can even get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, so there are no surprises. So take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create your account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. You go up, of course, against the offense in practice every day. Talk to me a little bit about going up against Carson Beck in practice. Obviously, you're trying to get at him as much as you possibly can, and Miami's running backs.
Well, Carson Beck, he's a smart QB, so he'll run some slide protections and talk to and he could really call out all of our blitzes before we even, run them. So just by the base of our formation, our alignment, and we have some great running backs too that, when them chip blocks comes, just know I have to be ready. So.
Hello, we're joined here by Miami true freshman edge rusher Hayden Lowe. How was classes? Have they started yet? Or they start coming up soon?
No, classes start next week. So yeah.
But I'm guessing you took some spring and summer already though, right?
Yes,
so
sir,
you're getting that experience. Yeah.
School and football is year round down here at the U. So.
No doubt about that. Have you found any restaurants you like down in Miami yet? And how much Cuban cuisine have you had?
My favorite restaurant at the time is La Granja. I love to get
Like
the
that place.
yes. I love to get the beef, the patties, and all of that. It's just the Cuban food down here is so. I don't. It's just like different. You don't have stuff like that back in Cali. We have a lot of Mexican, a lot of different ethnicities, but it's just very diverse. And I love to try new things and be able to, see what things are like on the other side of the world.
What's the chemistry like? Because I can't help notice, and I've been covering Miami for a long time. Being around you guys a little bit, at practices and media day, and also I watched the Miami YouTube series that they put out with the Canes camp, which has some behind the scenes stuff. It seems like everybody just loves hanging around each other, and you guys are a really tight knit group. Were you expecting it to be like that when you got here, and what would have been your impressions so far on all your teammates?
Well, that kind of speaks back to the culture that I was looking for when I made my decision to come down here. And that's something that I was expecting when I got down here. It was reached beyond my expectations. Everybody on the team, is very close and likes to, be a family. So that's something that I really value and, looking forward to that we can just grow stronger in the future.
Yeah, you started to build your relationship with Mario Cristobal back when he was recruiting you. But what stands out most about Coach? Like, what are some characteristics that really make him to you a strong head coach in this game?
I feel like Cristobal is one of the best head coaches out there because he really surrounds himself with what he's preaching is what he's doing, and he he makes a lot of head coaches may talk it and preach structure, preach discipline, but he'll show it to you first and then he'll tell you it. So that's one thing that's really separates Mario Cristobal from every other head coach. And he's very loving and caring, and he has a very good side and personality to him because everybody thinks of a head coach here, the tight nip up around him, but he's a good guy. He's actually a human being. So that's something that I really love about him.
I love to hear that. And again, with having Hayden Lowe on with us, I've got to send a huge thank you and shout out to Canes Connection, Miami's collective. In fact, we have a special deal. If you guys have been thinking about signing up at Canes Connection, and maybe today is the day you do that, if you use our code, which is LOCKED50, LOCKED 50, you're going to get 50% off your first month at any membership tier. So use my code LOCKED50. And, Hayden, what does it mean to you to be part of that Canes Connection family?
Man, it means everything. It's in the word, it's in the name, connections. They put you up with the right people, and they only want to see you, and they only want to see the best for you. And that's something that, you can't really get in much places. You can't really go to like a USC or like a Texas and have the same type of treatment as you would down here in Miami with Canes Connections, because they really love the family. They love the football team, and they teach you a lot.
And with your family, your relatives being over on the West Coast, are they going to be able to come over and watch all your home games? You got 8 home games this year.
Yes, sir. Hopefully my parents fly down for all 8 of them, but if not, they're going to try to make as much as they can.
I love it. Well, listen, we all can't wait to watch you at Miami, and I'm telling you guys, Hayden has been practicing really well and working hard, and you can tell how hardworking he is. So, Mr. Lowe, thank you so much for taking the time. And before we let you run, if you have any social media handles you want to plug and kind of send the message out to Canes fans where they can find you.
You can follow my Instagram. It's HLowe0.
Awesome.
Sir.
That's where you find him. HLowe0. Thank you so much, Hayden, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you so much.
How about that? Tremendous job. Hayden Lowe, thank you so much for joining us here on Locked On Canes. Thanks again to Canes Connection, and thanks to all of you for making Locked On Canes your first or your second listen today. Make sure to smash that thumbs up button and subscribe, and we'll talk to you again next time on another episode of Locked On Canes. We are part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.